So how exactly do you contour your face using concealers? Well, that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you exactly what kind of products you need to use, exactly why you're going to be using them, and exactly why this is probably the best way to conceal and contour your face. Now, before we get into it, don't forget I do have an online publication called Confessions of a Creative, which covers several different topics such as health, beauty, culture, style, entrepreneurship, a bit of everything, all written by me. Now, there are two subscription offers. One is free, which gives you access to most of the site. The other is paid, which only costs around a coffee a month, and you get access to the entire site, plus subscriber perks and benefits, and we get a little room where we can chat, where I answer questions that you ask over here, over there. Now, if you do like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos, and I'm on Instagram. Now let's get started with this tutorial. This is probably one of my favorite makeup techniques ever because I know how much of a flawless finish it gives you and how much of a soft focus effect it gives your skin. So let's get started. We're going to go through exactly how you can contour with concealer, and I'm going to explain why this is the best way to use your concealer and exactly what you're going to be achieving from it. Now, first things first, we've got the skincare on. I'm just going to get started with my primer now because I really want to explain to you why you need this type of kind of base ready for your concealer. So I've got my Milk Hydro Grip Primer ready on my hand, and I am just going to smooth this over my skin. You really want to make sure you smooth it over and don't rub it like into your skin. Now, I do already have a little bit of concealer on my eyelids, but I didn't really want to include that in this because it's not really about contouring that area or anything. So that is already done. Eyelids are done because I don't know if some of you guys do your eyelids with concealer or don't use concealer on your eyelids. So I wanted to just kind of like leave that out so not to confuse you. Now let's talk about what we're going to be using. We're going to be using two concealers and we're going to be using them to contour the face. And the reason I love contouring with concealers is because it kind of eliminates the need for an additional product. You can use your concealer for your coverage, for covering up the dark circles and whatever else you want to use it for, but you can also sculpt and contour with it. And that's the great thing about it, because ultimately it would be the same as getting a contour cream product, but the difference is this is going to give you coverage as well as the contour. So all you're doing is choosing the right shades that you need to help to highlight and contour your face. Now, the light shade that we're going to be using is the Tarte Shape Tape in 35N medium, and the dark shade we're going to be using is the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Concealer in 17, and this is a really good like deep shade. Now, what I want to explain to you is how you pick your colors. Now, your light shade is going to be something that's going to help to obviously do the things that you want a concealer to do, which is cover up dark circles and just disguise any imperfections, any flaws that you use it for. So this shade here needs to be just a tiny bit lighter than your skin tone. You can use the same color if you want, in terms of like the same color of your skin tone, but ultimately all that's going to do is give you the coverage, but not necessarily kind of like enhance or highlight those areas. So if you're looking for your concealer to actually highlight the areas, and that means basically enhance the areas that you're happy with, or kind of give the illusion of more of a larger surface area, then you want to make sure that your shade color is kind of like a little bit lighter than your skin tone, so it gives it more of a brightening effect. Now, ultimately the texture needs to be similar to what I'm using here, which is more of a creamy fluid texture, not overly fluid, because obviously it's not going to give you as much coverage then, and we do want it to kind of stay in place. We don't really want it to kind of like run up or run around anyway, you know, when we start blending it in. We want it to be quite easy for it to kind of like stay in that place. Now, when it comes to your darker concealer, you want to make sure you go for a shade which is obviously darker than your skin tone, but it's also got to be deep enough. So it shouldn't be too warm. So in the sense, it shouldn't be like too orangey, because that's not really going to give you the depth that you need. You really want something that's able to create shadows on your face. So something which is deep, similar undertone to your skin. I can't say to you like at least 4 or 5 shades darker, because ultimately it really depends on how many shades are within the range that you're choosing from in terms of like which brands you're using. But ultimately, like, you want something which is significantly darker than your skin tone, enough for it to be able to be really obvious on your skin tone, right? It's one of those things which I will look into kind of doing a video on this, like how to pick your kind of contour shade, because it's such a struggle to figure out how to actually pick it out, because there are so many different shades. But ultimately you want to make sure it's the same undertone or similar undertone to your skin, and it's much darker than your skin tone in order for it to have an effect. Now that we've got the primer on, what I want to do is get started with my light shade first. Now what we're going to be doing is highlighting areas and also ensuring that we cover up the obvious areas, which are like the dark circles. So first off, I'm going to apply my concealer just in the same way that I would do regardless of contouring. So I'm going to just apply this just on these areas here, because this is where I would apply it regardless, even when I don't want to contour. I don't contour every single day, so this is what I would do to cover up my dark circles. Now, what I am going to be doing is applying this in a couple of other areas, but what I want to do is kind of like blend in this under eye area first, because basically the reason I'm doing this is because I want to really focus on showing you the contouring side, and I want to be able to have all those lines on my face so that I can explain it to you. And the great thing about this concealer is it is kind of self-setting, so if you leave it there for too long, it's not going to blend in that well enough. Like, you want to leave it a little bit, but not too long. There's a fine line. So we're just going to get started and actually just blend this in. So I'm using my beauty blender, and I am just gonna basically blend this on my under eye area. So this is ultimately to just give me that coverage on my under eye area so that you can't see those dark circles. Now you can see that we've covered up the dark circles, but that's all it's really done. It's brightened the area, covered up the dark circles, but there's not really much contouring or anything, or like highlighting, enhancing certain areas. So now what I want to do is go ahead and apply this on areas where I want to actually kind of like assist the contour, the dark shade, in actually sculpting the face. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this here. We're going to do one side first. Let's just lengthen this a little bit. That's actually all we need there, because we've already applied it on the under eye area. Now I'm going to get my dark shade here, and this is where I am going to just draw a couple of lines and then explain to you what these lines are going to be doing, especially in kind of like partnership with that light shade. As you can see, we've got the light shade on the forehead, on the underside of the lower lip, and it kind of goes up towards the ear there. And then we've got the dark shade, and we've got this just along the temple here, and also from the top of the ear going inwards towards the upper lip. And then we also have a line here, which is just below the jawline area. Ultimately, what the light shade is going to be doing is highlighting, like I've mentioned before. So it's going to be enhancing the area. It's going to be helping to lift the area. So you can see this area here is going to help to like lift it, and then we've got the forehead area because it's enhancing that area. But not only that, it's also important that you do have an even amount, or close to an even amount, of concealer product everywhere on your face. So it is going to look very odd if you don't put any on the forehead and then you have concealer everywhere else on the forehead, on the face, sorry. It just looks weird. It looks very wrong when you just have a whole section left out. You at least need a little bit, right? Then we have the dark area, and that is the temple here, and that's going to help to give it a lift there. Then we've got this area here from the top of the ear going towards the upper lip, and that's helping to add a bit of depth there, which is just below the cheekbone, to give the effect of a more chiseled cheekbone. And then we have the jawline area, and you need to make sure that you apply this underneath the jaw, not on the jaw, because the whole point is to enhance a shadow. We've already got a shadow here, right? If you see here, we've already got a shadow there. What this is going to do is actually enhance that even more. So that's all we need to do there, and I will be showing you the nose after I've done both sides. Now I have two Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood complexion brushes, because I like to use one for the light shade, one for the dark shade. I'm going to use the light shade first, and I'm just going to buff this in, and it's really important to make sure that you do keep to that area. You don't want to like take it too far out anywhere else. We want to make sure it does actually stay mainly on the area that we wanted it, which was, you know, the area that we're lifting. You can see how that's really light in that area, because I don't know if you can see here, but there's a little bit of darkness here, and the darkness tends to make my, you know, give you that kind of downside effect to the mouth. This has really helped to lift the area. Now we're going to go ahead and move over to the dark shade, and I am going to keep this in the same area. Like I said, it's really important to keep this in that same area. It's really just about softening all the edges. There you go. Now you want to make sure the darkness stays mainly on this perimeter of the face, because we don't want it to be like too dark on this side. It should look like it's just naturally fading in. There you go. And then we're going to go here, and this is just going to be kind of like going right into the jawline there. There you go. So hopefully immediately you'll be able to see the difference, right? We've got this really nice lift, like everything looks a lot more lifted, a lot softer than when we actually applied it, and generally looks more sculpted and contoured. So now if you look at this side, there isn't anything going on. All we've got is the under eye dark circle covered, but that's about it, right? So you can see certain shapes there, obviously with the natural contours of the face, but the whole point of contouring is to kind of enhance those contours and also give the illusion of certain contours that may not already be there or may not be sharp enough. As you can see, we have all of this side, which is really kind of like enhanced any kind of sculpting that we already had, and also highlighting any areas, like enhancing those areas. And this side is kind of just what we started with. So hopefully that's given you a good idea and it's helped you to see how you can use concealer to contour. We're going to go ahead and do the other side and then we can move on to the nose. So as you can see, we've got both sides done and now we've got a lot of sculpting going on. Now, as you may have noticed, I didn't actually apply any of the dark concealer along my forehead. Now, the reason for that is because I wanted to let you know that you don't have to do it in every single place that you usually see it being done. You can just stick to like other areas. You don't have to always do it on the forehead, because I have learned over time that not everyone likes any kind of like contouring on the forehead. So I've left that out so you can really see that these are the key areas that you really want to work on. But if you do want to do it on the forehead, now I'm not actually going to apply any more dark concealer because sometimes it can end up looking like you've just got a bit of a bruise there because you haven't blended it in properly. But what I want to show you is with whatever's left on this brush, we're going to just kind of like use that leftover product to kind of just apply it on the sides of the face, and that is more than enough. It's very, very light, it's not too harsh, and it's enough. So you could always just use whatever's left on the brush, but ultimately applying it on the sides here is really going to help to kind of like slim down the forehead a bit. Now if you were to apply it at the top here, that's really going to help to kind of make your face like just, you know, help to shorten a long forehead or a big forehead or a long face. Now if you were to apply a dark shade underneath here and here, that's ultimately going to help with a long face. If you were to just apply it on the forehead, then that helps to obviously make the forehead look a bit smaller. There's so many different facets to actually contouring your face, so there's a lot that really goes into it, and because I only have my face to work on, I can only show you certain things, but I really do hope that that's kind of explained how you are to use a concealer. Now ultimately, you're not just going to walk away from this point, you do want to finish it off. So what we're going to be doing is using a foundation and applying it over this, because that's going to act as a veil of color to tie everything together. Now before we actually go in with our foundation, what I really want to do is contour my nose. So I'm going to be using the same dark shade and I'm going to be contouring my nose. So we're going to start with the tip of the nose and then we're going to work on the sides of the bridge of the nose. Now what we want to do is apply a little arrow here, so it's like a little V here. Now everyone has a different way of contouring their nose. I'm just going to show you my way because it may work for you, but you know, there are different ways to contour the nose. As you can see, we've got a little V there. Now what I want to do is do a little line just on the side of the bridge of the nose and do the same here. Now we're going to get these small sides, so the smaller side of the brush, and we are going to just buff this in. We want to make sure we keep the shape, but we're kind of making sure that it's staying in the same place as well. Now this side of the bridge of the nose, we are going to go along the side of the nose because it can come down towards the side. You don't want it to just look like a stripe there, you want it to blend down into the sides of the nose. Same thing on this. There you go. Now we are going to move on with foundation application. So I have some just on the back of my hand here. I've got some foundation there. You're going to make sure you take the foundation and buff it into the sponge first. And then we're going to start from the forehead. And we just do it this way just because I like there to be kind of a method to it. So we start from here and then we work our way down. And we're applying a light, even layer all over the face. Not too much because we still want this to all come through. Now the foundation I'm using is my NARS Sheer Glow foundation. Now you really want to make sure that you do use a light coverage foundation. There is literally no point in using a full coverage foundation. You've got to use a light coverage foundation or light to medium, depending on how much you contour underneath. Reason being is because it's just going to cover everything up. So you really need to make sure you use a light to medium foundation, or even you could use a skin tint on top. That would be even better. It would be great, because if you can get away with that, then use that. Now I'm going to apply my foundation along the under eyes, making sure that I, like I said, add a real kind of even layer everywhere. It's pretty insane how you still have the contour coming through, and honestly this is the kind of soft focus look that I was trying to explain to you. So at this point what you can do is just set your foundation with powder and move over to whatever next step it is that you're going to do, your brows or whatever. Now what I want to very quickly do is just add a little bit of blush, just because I want to add some colour. I'm going to be using my Beauty Bay liquid blush. It's kind of just an excuse because I want to use this colour because it's so good and I've been dying to try it and I haven't actually tried it yet. It's in Bonbon and it's just this super bright pink, this Barbie pink, and I love it. So we are going to apply this to the cheekbones right here. Oh my god, this color is so good. I'm going to get a sponge. I love this. What a stunning pink. I don't know if you can see it through the camera because the camera always dilutes a little bit of kind of makeup, but oh my god. This color is insane. I want this color for my lips. I wonder if you can use this on the lips. Wow, I love this color. Oh my god, guys, you need to go and get this blush. It's so nice. It's like, it's a blush that really just freshens up your face immediately and just makes you look like fresh. It's so nice. Anyway, I am going to now get on with setting my makeup. So at this point, you can actually go ahead and set your makeup. So let's make sure there are no creases on my under eye area. And this is my Makeup Forever Ultra HD powder. And you can just go ahead and apply it either with a powder puff like this, or you can just dust it on with a brush. And I'm just gonna dust this off now. Wow, I really love that blush. Anyway, you can probably see that you can still see the sculpting coming through, and this is what I really wanted you guys to see. Now, if you are thinking, oh, but it's not as obvious as I wanted it to be, you could apply more underneath, or you could use a lighter finish foundation such as a skin tint. So it really does depend on what you're using and how much you apply underneath as well. So take note of that and make those changes accordingly so that you can get the finish, the result that you actually want. At this point, you can carry on and do your brows, do everything else you want to do, and your look is basically done. And I know you guys are going to love this. I really do hope you try out using your concealers as contour, because it is honestly a game changer. It will make your foundation, your base look absolutely amazing. So I hope you go ahead and try it. And yeah, if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. Until the next video, take care and I'll see you soon.